Hi, Saen Higgins here. Do I have a tax lien on my property? What a great question. And in this video, we're going to show you how to find out what's going on and how does that affect you? Does it affect your credit? Does it plummet it? Does it make you go into bankruptcy? Does it make you money? I mean, there's so many different ways that we can peel this onion, so to speak, without crying, okay? And we're going to cover every single one of those. In fact, I'm going to show you how you can turn this into a financial windfall for you and your family. Stick around to the very end. I'm going to methodically walk you step by step on how having a tax lien against your property can actually be a win-win situation for all parties. So let's get right into it. Now, if you have a question at any point during this video, just type it into the comments. I personally answer all those. Hit the thumbs up, hit subscribe, bell ring, all that fun stuff that you've got over there, and we'll help you out with it. So let's talk about it. Do I have a tax lien on my property? It's a great question. Before we get into that, let's talk about the effects of that. Having a property tax lien on the property does not affect anything. Okay, so this is like literally one of the only financial instruments out there that have so much punching power when it comes to not paying them, but are just kind of sitting there when you don't pay them and you're doing that redemption period. And we'll cover all that in just a little bit. Having a property tax lien on the property does not affect your credit. Okay, it does not affect your financial statement, and it doesn't affect the sellability of the property, which I think is pretty important. And I want you to think about the beauty there. What other lien and encumbrance can you have where you can just say, I don't want to pay it, and nothing happens? I mean, if you go all the way back to Donald Trump, I'll bring the Mr. Trumpster up here. And I think it was 1992, he had liens against the Taj Mahal, the casino thing that he had in New Jersey. And he was literally telling his friends, hey, go buy the lien on it. We're not paying the taxes, but we will when we get out of bankruptcy on this, but you might as well earn 18%. Didn't affect him. Didn't affect financial statements. It's just a fact. So a property tax lien doesn't affect the property owner until the time period runs up. You can't just go on not paying your taxes, your property taxes, without some type of consequence. Okay, so there you have it. What is a tax lien certificate? It's exactly like it sounds. It's due to delinquent property taxes. So when a person fails to pay property taxes for 1 year, Donald Trump is a perfect example of that. So back in 92, give or take, he didn't pay taxes on the Taj Mahal, the big casino on there. And so the county put a lien against that property. Once a property owner has been delinquent 1 year, they have the right to do that. And it's going to bear an interest rate, anywhere from 16, 18, 25%. So they have to bring these up for sale for the public because it wouldn't be fair if they just said, hey, Bill, there's some liens on these properties, a conflict of interest. They have to make them for the whole public, and everybody has the right to come in there and say, I would like that lien on, the Taj Mahal or whatever, and I want to pay the money because I want my 18% on it. I mean, come on, think about it. Where else are you going to get 18% on your money? You know, well, high rate of return, high risk. No, not true. Because if there is a tax lien on the property, and let's say that in this case, Donald Trump didn't pay the taxes on it, which he did, then I would have the right to foreclose on the property and I would own it free and clear. Actually, there's an example in 1923, the Yellowstone series, if you've seen that. I think it's episode number 8, they almost lose the Dutton Ranch because Dutton Ranch, whatever it's called, because they failed to pay property taxes. Somebody warned them, I've bought the taxes on your property, and if y'all don't pay it, I'm taking your ranch. This has got so much recorded history on it. I can go all the way back to Thomas Jefferson. He lost Monticello because he failed to pay property taxes. You know, Jefferson was a brilliant author of the Declaration of Independence and a thought provoker in our country, but he was horrible at finances. A lot of people are not aware of that, but he just wasn't very good at that. Matter of fact, at one point, John Adams had to bail him out of a bad financial situation, but he wasn't able to do it to not lose Monticello. So they had to sell Monticello just to collect the bad debt on it. That's how long these have been available. So knowing if you've got a tax lien on your property is interesting because you want to eventually pay it. I've had tax liens on my property, and I know tax liens like nobody in the industry out there. So why would I have a tax lien on it? I'll give you an example. I had a property that we were only going to have for 9 months. They were going to pay the taxes out of escrow anyway. It didn't matter to me. So why expend that capital over there when I know it's just going to be taken out of escrow on the backside? I mean, it becomes a financial choice on that. I still had to pay the 12%, whoop-de-doo on that. It was such a small amount. You're only talking about a few $100s in that particular situation because it was a lot on it. So there could be a number of different reasons that somebody doesn't pay the property taxes, and none of that really matters. What matters is by law, the county has to make those available to you and me. The question, though, is where do you find those? Well, tax sales are very, I wouldn't say they're regulated. They're in the state statute. This is what needs to happen. This is when it needs to happen. This is the interest rate. This is the redemption period. Everything's set in law. Yes, law. So everything's established by law. The county can't do anything without that. But how they interpret the law is where it gets fun. So you can go into, I don't know, let's say Texas, who has 256 counties in it, and each one of them does it a little different. Actually, a good way to look at this, a good example is Texas. Texas is like a country. They still think they're their own country, right? Because they were for, I don't know, what it was, 13 years or what have you. And so the way you got to look at Texas is like a country with a bunch of little states, 256 of them to be exact. So it's California, so it's Florida, so it's Tennessee, so is Kentucky. So those states are, sovereignty of a state. They say, this is how we're going to handle our property taxes. Here are the rules. How the county interprets those can be different, varying from county to county. Sounds confusing, doesn't it? Well, that confusion is the opportunity that you and I have. Because if you're willing to spend a little bit of time and really understand how it works in a particular area, you're going to find some gold in those things. So in other words, going into a county and going, okay, their sale comes up on this. This is what they're doing over here. This is how they're doing it. Oh, what happens to the leftovers? What happens to the ones that don't sell? Okay. Oh, we can go in there and buy them over the counter. Oh, we can get this wait, I can buy one at the end of the redemption period and foreclose on it immediately. Hello. There's so many different things in there, but you've got to be willing to sit down and figure out how it works. What I'm giving you is some broad brush strokes of the industry as a whole nationwide. Do you have a tax lien on your property? Maybe, maybe not. But look at the bigger opportunity there. There's so many ways that you can make money for you and your family and literally get property for pennies on the dollar. Because remember, if I put up the money for a delinquent taxes at a county, there's only so long that property owner has to pay off those delinquent taxes. If they don't come in that amount of time, guess what? I get to foreclose on the property and I will own the property free and clear. Because you have the power of the county, you can foreclose and you will own that property free and clear. And I have all liens and encumbrances, including a mortgage. There is literally nothing stronger than a tax lien certificate. In fact, if you can find a safer and more lucrative investment opportunity than tax liens, write it in the comment section. Tell me what it is. You and I can go back and forth, and I'll pay you $1,000. It just doesn't exist. Literally, I've been giving that challenge for years, and it's got to be legal, okay? I guess everything's legal nowadays, but people would say, well, I know that there's a guy that has a cannabis farm. It's like, whatever. Okay, it's got to be legal, okay? And again, the nice thing about this is it's got to be duplicatable, okay? Being able to do something once is not impressive to me. Being able to buy tax liens over and over again for dozens and dozens and dozens and decades of years out there, that's a sustainable business that can provide financial independence for you and your family. Now, how do you find tax lien certificates? When does a sale happen? What are the pitfalls? What can happen if they file bankruptcy? What happens? All of these things I cover in detail in a brand new free course. All you have to do is hit the link down below. I do believe it's higginsmethod.com. And I have a free course that will walk you through tons of detail on exactly how all of this works. Click the link down below. We'll show you how that works, and we'll see you on the other side. This is Saen Higgins saying God bless and good luck.